Marvel Zombies, Protagonist becomes world's strongest hero. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 51. The ring on your hand is a Green Lantern soldier thing? General Zod was well informed and recognized what was in Kara's hands. Yibai controlled Jessica to nod and continued to flicker. Yes, at the moment before the Krypton explosion, I was sent by my parents into a spaceship to fly out of the atmosphere, and the aftermath of the planetary explosion threw my spaceship into the Phantom area, and I didn't get out of trouble until 3 years ago. After that, I drifted in the universe for a while, until a light ring flew in and took me to the Green Lantern Corps headquarters OUA Star. And I became the Green Lantern and am currently in charge of the security of this star field. General Zod listened to it for a while, and at the same time knew why Kara was still so young after nearly 30 years. Compared with Kara's experience, General Zod's group has not had a very pleasant experience during this time, and has been looking for the observation posts that Krypton has established on various alien planets, trying to find the surviving tribesmen. And as a result, they have found many places, and the compatriots in those places have died in a long alien time. I have to say that meeting Carla by chance is an unexpected surprise. In this way, the Black Mist Fortress turned to fly to a new destination. Yibai used the green light ring, and friendship helped open a wormhole leading to that side, and the Black Mist Fortress passed through and directly arrived near the destination planet. Several researchers under General Zod operated in front of a terminal device to explore the ecological planet. As Carla said, this place really has no intelligent life, and it is a very suitable planet to be transformed into Krypton. Didn't say, then General Zod ordered, the Black Mist Fortress split into two parts of which flew to the ends of the planet, landed, and began the planet transformation work. As far as Yibai observed, the energy of the Black Mist Fortress is only enough for a planet transformation. After transforming the planet, the energy is basically consumed. In order to charge it, you need to build enough infrastructure to collect antimatter energy. This process is not 10 years and 8 years without thinking. Even if General Zod still does not give up on finding Karl, it will be more than 10 years later. At that time, the Justice League was established for many years, and powerful heroes on the Earth emerged one after another. Even if the group of Zod, who basked in the yellow sun, could not turn over the wind and waves on the Earth, I am afraid that Lex Luthor's big bald person alone can play this group of Kryptonians to death. Don't underestimate Lex Luthor, as one of DC's 3 popular villains, although he has no superpowers or magic, but has the top mind. The villain artificial intelligence Brainiac evaluates him as one of the smartest people in the universe, with level 9 intelligence. He is Superman's old rival for many years, and the Doomsday in the movie is his masterpiece, and in the later period, he has repeatedly calculated the Justice League and put Jinglian in dire straits. Another parallel universe Earth 3 good version of Luthor, with good and evil reversed, also cloned a superwoman named Linda Danvers. The transformation of the planet is spectacular. The original gravity of this planet is a little smaller than that of the Earth, about 0.91 g. But under the transformation of the planet engine of the Black Fog Fortress, gravity gradually increases, the size of the planet shrinks, natural disasters continue to occur everywhere on the surface, and the atmospheric environment changes. Yibai controlled Jessica's body, and the consciousness hosted the genuine Carla Zol, and the 3 observed the shocking scene of the planet's transformation through one body. This process lasted 24 hours to complete, and the entire planet seemed to be rebuilt after a disaster, and the biosphere on it was destroyed. The original ecology can survive in this environment are small organisms that are strong enough and adaptable, and a small number of plants. However, the new environment is more suitable for Kryptonian survival. A new ecosystem will gradually be born. There are many seeds of Kryptonian plants in the Black Fog Fortress. They will branch out in this new environment. It will not be long before the whole planet will be reborn, especially when the sun in this star system is also yellow. Yibai, General Zod, Fiora, and other Kryptonians stood by the window of the command room of the Black Mist Fortress, watching the changes of the planet below. Not surprisingly, this will be the new home of the Kryptonians, and everyone is excited. Yibai said at this time, you may not know that we Kryptonians shine on the yellow sun, and our bodies will gain some superpowers. Our senses, strength, and speed will be amplified, and we can even fly, and our bodies will be indestructible. Zod and Fiora looked at her, and the former said, can you show me? Of course. Yibai looked at Fiora and said, BB strength, you can wear your power armor. Good. The two began to wrestle wrists. Fiora relied on the power armor to increase the strength, tens of millions of tons of strength, but was easily crushed by Yibai with his bare hands. Seeing this, Zod turned his head and said, close the radiation protection of this window. His subordinates took orders. He operated in front of a device, the glass in front of Zod, the color changed. The radiation of the outside sunlight shone in. Zod and Fiora by the window bathed in it, and a large number of racial talents belonging to the Kryptonians were launched one after another. The appearance of super perception makes the two have a strong sense of discomfort, but they are not ordinary people, but real fighters. Plus this is not on the planet, there are not so many voices. The adaptation process of the two is very smooth. It only took a moment for General Zod to get used to the feeling, and Fiora was a little slower than Zord. Both of them noticed changes in their bodies, especially their own strength, as if there was an unlimited slow increase. After experiencing it for himself and making sure that there was no danger, General Zod ordered his men to come over and bask in the sun. After 3 days in New Krypton, Yibai took Zod and his group on the grounds that he was going to perform the Green Lantern Corps Guard mission, and left here on the spaceship. Zod didn't stop her, only telling her to take care and give her time to come back more. Kara's ability sharing status ends, Yibai leaves Jessica's body, and Jessica regains control of her body. These 3 days of experience were very peculiar to whoever the three of them. Jessica sighed, the technology of Krypton is really advanced, the ecology of a planet has been changed. Especially they are too scary after basking in the sun. What should we fight against if they want to invade the Earth? Didn't I dispel their idea of finding Kal-El for the time being? As for the future? Believe me, the Earth is the most dangerous place in the universe, and whoever comes with bad intentions dies. Episode 52. A day later, Yibai and Jessica return to Earth's seaside city. At this time, most of the universe is in harmony, including Sector 2814, which Jessica is responsible for. In normal times, Waxing will have black technology monitoring devices all over the sector to monitor the overall situation, and only if it is judged that the Green Lantern needs to solve the matter, the central host will issue tasks to the Green Lantern responsible for the relevant sector. The second setting of this book. With the power of Green Lantern, the entire universe is not much distance for them. Open a wormhole, and reach anywhere in the universe in a few minutes. The green light is not the fastest in the 7 Lantern Legion, and the Green Lantern tribe has more advantages in teleportation. So during the non-mission period, Green Lantern is completely free to do what he wants, and Jessica can stay on Earth and do what she wants. For example, after the return, Jessica and Yibai lived together, and the two lived together in Seaside City. Just a few days after staying for a few days, at 7 o'clock in the evening that day, Jessica received a task to leave Yibai and leave the Earth. Yibai looked at the future from the 4-dimensional timeline and determined that although Jessica would experience many setbacks and encounter certain dangers in this mission, and even asked Thomas Ray in Sector 2813 and Ariza in Sector 2815 next door for support, she would not be in real danger to her life. Well, it will take her half a month to return to Earth. He looked again at the future of the Earth. Superman, the big event of Man of Steel, eliminated by him in advance, but the Doomsday event will still happen, because Clark Kent will soon discover the Krypton research spacecraft in Antarctica launched to Earth tens of thousands of years ago, read the strip-like data device on his body, see the artificial intelligence of his father learn his life, and then debut as a superhero, was targeted by Lex Luthor. Luthor used some of the Kryptonian unlucky eggs he had previously captured for experiments, plus the guidance of Steppenwolf's secret rubbing, let him make up Doomsday. That happened 10 months later. But before that, the origin story of Steel and the Flash would take place one after another. Yibai was not interested in the story of Steel Bone, and he decided to come to the Central City side to get to know the Flash team members in advance. In 3 months, Barry Allen will wake up from his coma to become the Flash. Yibai went alone to a bar in Central City, where Caitlin Snow, a doctor of bioengineering, was drinking alone. She has flaxen hair shawl, white t-shirt plus blue pencil pants plus high-heeled sandals, and her style is very casual. As a member of the Flash's mad science team, Caitlin is also considered the face of the team. The explosion of the Interstellar Laboratory Particle Accelerator a few months ago left the laboratory completely confined to the pillar of shame in the history of science. The people who worked there basically resigned and changed their courts. Caitlin Snow, however, was left in the Interstellar Laboratory with only 2 or 3 big cats and kittens left due to the death of her fiancé Ronnie Raymond. Her decision undoubtedly ruined her future, at least in the eyes of many, including Caitlin's mother. Emotional problems, career problems, made her depressed all day and came to the bar from time to time to buy drunk. Yibai walked to the bar where she was and ordered a glass of wine. Pretending to be sad that he was also disappointed in life, he took the wine glass, touched the glass in front of Caitlin's table, and said to the other party who looked puzzled, "Respect our frustrated life." After taking a dry sip, let the bartender refill the glass. Caitlin took a sip from her glass, and she asked, "Does my frustration seem obvious? If you don't write it on your face, it's really not obvious." Yibai said, "Okay." Caitlin felt that her appearance was indeed obvious. "My name is Yibai, how about you?" Caitlin Snow. "Good name, Kate, also frustrated in life, let's toast." Yibai clinked glasses with her again and continued to take a sullen mouthful. Caitlin took another sip. "Maybe we can share each other's bad experiences, let me talk first." Yibai made up a character for himself, which roughly said that his parents died, his girlfriend ran away with his best friend, he was fired by his boss, and his parents had a car accident. To sum up, I am miserable, I don't want to live miserably. His story stunned Caitlin when she heard it. Caitlin felt that compared to the other party, her own experience was simply childlike. "Well, you're miserable." Caitlin held back for a long time and held out such a sentence. The bartender at the bar chimed in, "Yes, it's so miserable. If I were to commit suicide by jumping off the building." Yibai was speechless. "Let's chat about which door you are a bartender to insert. You just jumped off the building to commit suicide, and your whole family jumped off the building to commit suicide. Cough. I'm done talking about what happened to me. Tell me about you." Yibai clinked glasses with her again and took a long sip. "Me? My fiancé died and I had problems with my career, but the latter was my problem. but compared to you, I don't think this tragedy is much. They chatted about life's frustrations, which at first glance sounded like a miserable conference. After staying at the bar until 9:30 in the evening, Caitlin was ready to go home, and Yi-Bai asked, "Shall I send you?" Caitlin hesitated and nodded. Caitlin's home was not far from the bar, and the two walked 10 minutes to the apartment building where her home was located. "I won't invite you in, it's nice to meet you, and chatting with you makes me feel a lot better." Yi-Bai shrugged and watched Caitlin walk into the apartment building and teleport back to the pocket-dimensional space. The space is lively today, and all the women are drinking and chatting in the small bar of the castle. The alchemy puppet maid works as a bartender here, and Kara is talking to the women about Yi-Bai's recent encounter with her fellow Kryptonians outside the Earth, and pretending to fool them. Seeing Yi-Bai return, Natasha teased him, "I heard that someone was attached to a girl for a month." Yi-Bai shrugged, "The person you are talking about is the technique to steal the lamp ring for waxing." He sat between Wanda and Natasha and smiled, "I'll make one for each of you later. What are the functions?" Wanda was curious. Wearing the ring, you can show the Windows system operation interface in your eyes, and you can use it to listen to songs, watch movies, and play games on the internet. It uses the Philosopher's Stone as an energy source, and it can directly create the things imagined in the mind out of thin air without the help of alchemy, and can be used by anyone. Hearing him say this, everyone was moved by the thing Yi-Bai described, so they urged him to do it now. So great things, if you don't know it, it's just that, since you know, you naturally have to get one for the first time to play. Episode 53, Yi-Bai made the sage ring in front of them. With the experience of making it last time, this time he was able to make one in 10 minutes, and it took him 2 hours to make one for everyone present, including himself. It's really fun, and people try to use its various features. Even Kara used it to conjure up some of Kryptonian technological creations, such as their holographic projectors that were advanced enough to visually fake reality. Compared with the creation function, everyone likes the function of the portable system, a small ring, or a portable system that can be controlled by brainwaves. This novel experience, how can it be described as magical? Phantom Cat, who loves to play, also downloaded a game from the internet and played it directly. By the way, Yi-Bai's pocket dimensional space has a pole network cable, using wireless technology plus Yi-Bai's ability, which can connect to the external network. This refers to the network on the DC side of the world. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is still in 1995, the network technology is not very developed, and there are few games that are fun. Marvel sisters are all from the more technologically developed zombie hero universe, and they are naturally extremely familiar with the internet and computers. Compared to them, Diana, who has always struggled with technology, is still trying to figure out how to use Windows. We can build a server and put it here, create a unique multidimensional internet connection in different worlds, and use the server as a relay. The networking efficiency will be higher. Phantom Cat is the most talented top hacker here, and with the Sage Ring, she has many inspirations and ideas. You can get it yourself if you like, we don't know much about it. Yi-Bai said. The Phantom Cat showed a dead fisheye expression and said with dissatisfaction, "If they say they don't understand these things, I will believe it, but you who made this kind of ring don't understand it very well. Is it challenging my intelligence? I'm just looking for something for you to do." Yi-Bai issued a declaration of shaking the palm cabinet. Speaking of which, what's going on over there in the Marvel Universe? Yi-Bai didn't pay attention to that side recently, and he was very curious. The world is peaceful, there is no major incident. Compared to that side, DC is more dangerous here. Natasha shrugged. Apparently she had learned about the DC world specifically these months. In fact, she and the women usually have nothing to do, and they have wandered around the Earth on this side of the DC universe more than once. Kara thought of something at this time. She asked Yi-Bai, "Can you observe the past and future from the timeline? Assuming you don't meet General Zod in the universe, will they invade the Earth?" Yi-Bai nodded, "Yes, and then the whole army is gone. Do you want to see the story of that timeline? I cut it into a movie for you to see?" Before Kara could say anything, everyone gathered around, obviously very interested. So, next Yi-Bai used the sage ring on his finger to project a picture on the air in front of everyone. The real version of the movie begins. At the beginning of the movie, things from Krypton's side are shown. Because the planetary entropy of Krypton seems to have eaten gold and garbage has increased abnormally, and the speed of increase is very exaggerated, the planet is about to explode, and the Supreme Council of Krypton decided to hide this matter from the people and destroy itself. General Zod, for the sake of racial continuation, united with a number of powerful generals angrily and set off a coup d'état. At the same time, Joe Air's child, Karl Air, was born, and he was also the first baby born naturally to Krypton in nearly 1,000 years. Joe incorporated the central treasure into Karl Air's body and sent Krypton out of Krypton before it exploded. Zod is not a criminal of Krypton, he is a hero of the famous race. Emma review. From the point of view of Kryptonian civilians, it is. Yi-Bai agrees. In the next picture, Yi-Bai mixed with some private goods, and I saw that the picture camera turned and switched to Kara's storyline. Carla was only 13 years old at the time, and before the planet was about to explode, her parents sent her to Earth to take care of her newborn cousin, Karl Air. Carla's eyes widened when she saw herself in the picture. The coup d'état of General Zod and others was quickly suppressed, and the gang of political prisoners were imprisoned in the Rhodes Fortress and the Black Mist Fortress in the Phantom Zone. It wasn't long before the planet exploded, and the impact of the explosion swept Kara's small spaceship into the Phantom Zone where time stood still. Carla saw this scene and explained to everyone, "The flow of time here is super slow, subjective time is a second, and the outside world can pass many days, so my cousin was born when I was 13 years old, and now my cousin is 30 years old, and I am only 16 years old. Time flies," and the picture begins to show Carla's life on Earth, who is adopted by a farm couple in Kansas and named Clark Joseph Kent, or Clark Kent for short. Since childhood, this child has been extraordinary, but because of the teaching of his adoptive father, he has always kept a low profile. Even if he is bullied by children in school, he endures not using his superpowers. Even when Clark was a teenager, his family suffered a tornado, and his adoptive father did not let Clark expose his ability to save him when he was about to die in order to save a dog. Seeing this, everyone sighed, and Wanda said, "This is a great father." Yes, it's great, but Yibai has no sense of identity at all. If he is Clark, no matter how violent, he does not expose his ability, save his father first. The picture turns again. Clark is an adult, he works everywhere, in bars, restaurants, and even in offshore oil fields, when the oil field accidentally catches fire, and he goes to save people. He was confused and did not know his origins, until he worked for an Antarctic research expedition, where he not only found his identity in a Kryptonian spacecraft tens of thousands of years ago, but also met his destined other half, Louise Lane, for the first time. It wasn't long before the Kryptonians invaded. After that, the big battlefield was hot, the Kryptonians were all hanging comparisons, the battle was earth-shattering, and the demolition office was not as fast as the aftermath of their fight. The Kryptonians died one by one, the Black Mist Fortress was destroyed, and General Zod finally forced Clark to choose between humans and Kryptonians. Clark chose humans and twisted Zod's neck. He knew it was one of his few people, and he was in pain when he killed Zod. From this day on, Clark Kent officially debuted as Superman and became a superhero. This is the end of the story. Episode 54. After watching the movie edited with the real future, everyone sighed. "My cousin, he's a real superhero, and I'm proud of him," Kara said proudly, and then she couldn't help but ask Yibai a question. "Why is there no me in the later part of the story?" Yibai shrugged and said, "Alex Danvers, she won't let you go." Carla, Diana said, "I kind of want to meet Clark, he is a real hero. Without going through that timeline, I am afraid that he will lack the courage to become a superhero. I think I need to encourage him twice. Speaking of which, Batman will lead the establishment of the Justice League in the future, and you and Superman are both part of it." Yibai said, "Yes, it seems to be funny." Diana expressed anticipation. "By the way, Kara, do you want to know your future?" Yibai put his arm around her and asked with a smile. Kara's cheeks flushed. Although she knew that she might not be able to run, she had not yet clarified her relationship with the other party, and she was suddenly hugged, which made her a little overwhelmed. To deflect the embarrassment, she nodded and snorted. "Your sister Alex, who will soon become an agent of the Paranormal Investigation Agency, was on an outing when her plane crashed. You noticed this and ran to lift the plane to save her. Inside the plane, the survivors applauded and thanked you. You find meaning in your life in their gratitude and resolve to become a superhero. After that, you work with the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and are trained by them to become a qualified superhero, codenamed Supergirl, or Supergirl for short. The Bureau of Paranormal Investigation? What kind of organization is that?" Carla was curious about where Alex was going to work. As the name suggests, it is an organization that investigates supernatural events, and is also responsible for extraterrestrial affairs on Earth, referred to as the Super Investigation Bureau, DEO. Yibai said, "When did that happen?" "I mean my sister plane crash." Carla asked again. "You graduated from college and worked outside." Yibai said. When Carla heard this, she immediately pulled down her face and complained, "I'm just a high school student. What else do you say in the near future? It's 4 years later." Diana was also curious about her future, so she asked, "What about my future? Can you talk about it?" Yibai thought about it and summed up the future of Wonder Woman in one sentence. "Your future is to fight wits and courage with your group of gods and relatives who have nothing to do." Diana, that night, Yibai said that he could fight 10 of them each. He won the final victory and was very accomplished. At dawn the next day, Yibai left the pocket dimensional space and appeared in Central City. He plans to visit the Interstellar Laboratory today. I walked all the way to the door of the laboratory, because it was still early, and the few staff members in the laboratory had not yet come to work. He waited for a moment and saw a car coming here, and a tall, middle-aged man in a wheelchair got out of the car. "This is Dr. Harrison Wells, disguised as Reverse Lightning." Yibai stepped forward and stretched out his hand to him. "Hello Dr. Wells, I am Yibai." Dr. Wells shook hands with Yibai and asked suspiciously, "I wonder what happened to Mr. Yi here?" Yeber said, "Oh, nothing. I came to find Dr. Caitlin Snow, and I was pursuing her." Wells suddenly realized, "Come on, so advanced, she will be there in a moment." "Thank you." Yibai followed Dr. Wells into the Interstellar Laboratory. This laboratory is very large, there used to be a lot of staff, thousands of people, and they are all highly intellectual, and they can work here either with masters or doctors. Until a few months ago, the particle accelerator explosion caused a disaster, killed 17 people, and caused a power outage throughout the city, which made the reputation of the street completely stinking, and the former staff resigned to Dr. Wells for their own future. Dr. Wells, on the other hand, lost all his savings, and now only the laboratory is his property. Of course, the real Dr. Wells and his wife died long ago, at the hands of Reverse Lightning, and now this one is pretended by Reverse Lightning. Reverse Lightning is a 25th century future man. Because of the study of the Flash's Godspeed power, he gained the ability of super speed. In an incident, he learned the identity of the enemy Flash, ran back in time to prepare to kill the childhood Flash, so that the future Flash disappeared. The Flash chased him all the way back, preventing him from changing his past. Reverse Lightning did not kill the Flash in the past, but killed the Flash's mother at the time, which changed history, and Barry Allen will not become the Flash. The time paradox is thus formed. The Reverse Lightning is the supernatural power obtained by studying the Flash's ability. If the Flash is not born, he naturally cannot study it in the future, so the Reverse Lightning lost its Godspeed power and was trapped in the past. In order to return to the future 25th century, Reverse Lightning had to restore history and strive to promote the birth of the Flash, doing his best to cultivate his old enemies. The villain can do his job. It is unprecedented. The wait was boring, and Yi-Bai simply talked to Dr. Wells about science. Although I haven't said much before, but for such a long time, Yi-Bai has a very high attainment in mechanical engineering and electronic engineering, and he can talk about this with Dr. Wells. Originally, Dr. Wells only thought that Yi-Bai was Caitlin's suitor, and did not take it seriously, but as the chat deepened, he gradually found that this was a talent. It's a pity that his interstellar laboratory is now famous, otherwise he would really recruit the other party to work here. It didn't take long for Caitlin Snow and Cisco Ramon, a long-haired Latino man, to come to work. The two entered the laboratory and saw Yi-Bai, and Caitlin was surprised. Yi? Why are you here? Yi-Bai's hand turned into a magic trick, conjuring a bouquet of flowers. He did not directly send roses like that, but green didn't. The flower language of this flower is looking forward to a new birth. He handed the flower to Caitlin, smiled. I came here specifically to see you. Episode 55. Caitlin is obviously a person who understands the language of flowers and knows what the flower language of green diddens is. By didden symbolizes the style of kings, as well as people's pursuit and yearning for beautiful things. The purple chowden represents life, anticipation, and a touch of love. Green didden represents anticipation of a new life. She took the flowers and smiled at Yi-Bai and said, "Thank you, I like it very much." Cisco Ramon, a Latino man on the side, whistled and said with a smile, "Actually, you can be more direct and send her roses." As soon as he finished speaking, he was met with an angry glare from Caitlin Snow. Cisco scolded and shut up. Cisco Ramon, a mechanical engineering genius and the main character in the Flash team, also likes to give people code names, although he has not yet discovered it. In fact, the explosion of the particle accelerator a few months ago also brought him a superpower, similar to quantum resonance, to perceive the present, past, and future of things, and can also open wormholes through string shocks, connecting different regions and even parallel worlds. In the future, the Central City will be a parallel world visitor, the place with the most time travelers, inside and out, all of which are about to be crossed into a sieve by these guys. Time travelers, parallel world travelers, these can be classified as the range of travelers, so the Central City is the place with the most traversers in the world. Can we talk? Yeb asked Caitlin. Caitlin nodded. The latter took the former to the latter's laboratory. Yi-Bai looked here and saw Barry Allen, who was unconscious in bed not far away. He only glanced at it a few times, then stopped paying attention. He asked Caitlin, "Do you believe in miracles?" "It depends on what kind of miracle it is, and it doesn't conform to the laws of science." Caitlin, a mad scientist, has several doctorates, and runs her own chemical and pharmaceutical company. She is a super female student, and just the exaggerated number of doctorates can scare off a large number of suitors. In fact, the people on the Flash team are all mad scientists, not a priest, or Caitlin, or Cisco, even if the descendants of Barry Allen in the future. At least the degree of dash is at the bottom. In the superstring dimension theory, 0 dimension is a point, 1 dimension is a line, 2 dimensions are a plane, 3-dimensional lines support space, 4-dimensional timeline makes the universe come alive. We humans are 3-dimensional life living in 4-dimensional space. Timeline for us is something that has been moving forward at a uniform speed. Do you think it is possible to let yourself into 4-dimensional space? Yi-Bai asked mysteriously. I have seen this theory. If there really is a 4-dimensional life, we humans may seem like bugs on the timeline in their eyes. As a mad scientist, Caitlin can naturally understand what she is saying, and the foreword to the Scientific Journal of Theoretical Physics, she usually does not read less. Yes, in the 4-dimensional space, we can see the past and the future. So, Caitlin, come and grab my hand, here's the moment to witness the miracle. Yi-Bai stretched out his hand to Caitlin and said, "You will see the person you want to see." Are you kidding me? Caitlin looked at him suspiciously. Just give it a try. Caitlin put her hand on Yi-Bai's hand suspiciously, and in the next moment, she was consciously taken to the 4-dimensional space by Yi-Bai. Looking at 3 dimensions from 4 dimensions is like seeing different time frames. Each frame is a point in time, past, present, and future. At this time, Caitlin was already stunned by the scene in front of her, only to hear Yi-Bai's voice sound from her side. This is a four-dimensional space. In this place, the past and future are not front and back, but a circle. Caitlin looked into the past and saw her fiancé Ronnie Raymond, who was still alive at the time, before the explosion of the Starlab example accelerator. It was a man with short brown hair and a good look, a scientist, a doctor of mechanical engineering. When the particle accelerator was about to explode, in order to reduce the damage of the explosion, he voluntarily ran to the particle accelerator channel and manually turned off a certain device, and the bones were gone, at least in Caitlin's eyes. In fact, Ronnie did not die, and at the moment when his body was shattered by the example, he fused with the old Professor Martin Stein, an authority in the field of nuclear physics who was holding a firestorm box nearby, and the firestorm equipment in his hand. Caitlin looked over and wanted to communicate with Ronnie Raymond and prevent the other from entering the accelerator channel. But she is like a ghost in time, unable to touch the past, nor can she change the past, she can only look at the past. For a long time, she sighed sadly, looked at Yi-Bai beside her and asked him, I thought that superpowers were just legends. It turned out that it really existed. Put consciousness into the fourth dimension to observe the past and future. Is this your superpower? Yi-Bai nodded, began to talk nonsense, and continued to improve his tragic character. In fact, I just got this ability a few days ago. If I had it earlier, I would not have encountered disappointment in life, even if I could get rich by buying lottery tickets. I'd love to know now how much the money-worshipping girlfriend who ran away with my best friend would regret knowing that I was about to become rich. Caitlin patted Yi-Bai's shoulder sympathetically, comforted a few words, and then said, May I check your body? Yi-Bai was full of black lines. Episode 56. Caitlin tested Yi-Bai, and she found no traces of mutation except that the other party's body was very healthy. Strange, it stands to reason that if you have that ability, your body will be more or less mutated, but the test results show that your body is normal. Caitlin was a little confused. Yi-Bai came out of the detection instrument and said, maybe it comes from the soul. Soul? If you had told me this half an hour ago, I wouldn't have believed it. Caitlin said while looking at Yi-Bai's body test data, as if she wanted to find something she hadn't found before. Yi-Bai walked to the hospital bed not far away, where Barry Allen was lying. Not long after he fell into a coma, he was brought here by Dr. Wells for treatment, on the grounds that the hospital's equipment was too backward, and the hospital did not even detect that Barry Allen's heart was beating again, but that it was beating too fast than the electrocardiometer could measure. Also a user of the divine speed force, Yi-Bai can feel the divine speed force from Barry Allen. Unlike Yi-Bai, who obtains his ability by relying on the rapid equation, Barry Allen is directly the son of the Godspeed Force, and he will continue to give birth to the Godspeed Force between the runs. Instead of consuming the Godspeed Force, he will only run faster and faster. Seeing Yi-Bai staring at the unconscious Barry Allen, Caitlin came over and asked, Are you interested in him? A few months ago, the particle accelerator here was activated, and the collision of particles not only released a lot of energy, but also pierced space, and that moment connected unknown places. A large amount of dark matter emerged from it, attached to the sky clouds, and a large amount of dark matter turned into lightning, and he, Barry Allen, was struck by such lightning when he was in the forensics section of the police department, where many chemical agents were scattered on him, and under the effect of many things, his DNA was mutated. Yi-Bai said. Caitlin knew that Yi-Bai could observe the timeline from 4 dimensions, and she was not curious how he knew this. She was more curious, Barry gave birth to superpowers like you? Yes, and a superpower that I am familiar with. Yi-Bai nodded. Caitlin came interested. Tell me about it. Yi-Bai felt it, and after confirming that there was no backflash monitoring here, he walked to a white blackboard, changed a colored pen in his hand, brushed on it to write the rapid equation, and told Caitlin while writing that he was going to do an experiment to verify something. This is the rapid equation that allows the human mind to access four-dimensional space to obtain a different speed of time than reality, which I call the speed of God. This blackboard is not large, but the formula written by Yi-Bai is very small, and it is densely written just after writing. Caitlin, as a fighter among women, has several doctorates as a super female student. Plus Yi-Bai explained this formula, and quickly understood this formula. Yi-Bai pointed to a variable value on the blackboard and said, try to put your consciousness into this value to calculate. He did this to see if others could obtain supernatural power through this formula, or if only dark matter people in the body could do it. Frost killer with divine speed, thought. Caitlin has a dual personality that she herself does not know, and the other is a frost killer with the ability to absorb heat energy to create low temperatures. In the comics, the frost killer is not from Mixed City, but from Gotham. The upper limit of her ability is very high, just touching. Even if Superman is like existence, she can absorb all the heat in her body in an instant and freeze it into ice bumps. What impressed Yi-Bai was that the frost killer had a brilliant record of sneaking up on almost all the members of the Dry Flip Positive Alliance, and was a very dangerous supervillain. But apparently, Caitlin's identity in this universe was set twice, becoming a dual personality, and was moved from Gotham to Midtown. It seems that all guys with multiple personalities are not good, and Yi-Bai feels that he may have discovered the truth of the world. Caitlin tried to substitute her spirit into that variable value, calculating the formula in her head, and gradually, she noticed that her consciousness seemed to be connected to a strange place, a bit like being brought into the four-dimensional space by Yi-Bai before, but it was not very similar, and she couldn't describe it. This is She asked curiously. Here, read out loud the simplified rush equation, 3 by 2, 9yz, 4a. Yi Bai Dao. In the spirit of scientific exploration, Caitlin obeyed Yi Bai's orders and said loudly, 3x2, 9yz, 4a. In an instant, the speed of time in the entire world slowed down, and Caitlin's eyes widened and she watched it all in disbelief. Yi Bai saw that she had really entered the state of divine speed, and suddenly felt that the value of the rapid equation was higher than he thought. In order to avoid the speedster's rot in the street, Yi Bai decisively picked up the blackboard and wiped off the formula on the blackboard, so as not to cause chaos in the world. You must know that after the speedster reaches a certain level, it can cross time, and if the speedster is rotten, then the timeline of this universe is completely finished. Caitlin began to walk around in this state of fast and normal time flow, and in Yi Bai's eyes, the speed was swishing, and there was red lightning around her body. It took a while for her to retreat from that state. At this moment, she also realized the value of the formula that Yi Bai had just written. Rapid equation, how did you calculate it? It's simply amazing. Yi Bai smiled and said, I didn't study it. He was discovered by a scientist in the parallel world. His name is Johnny Chambers. You'd better not tell anyone this formula. You know, extreme speed can travel through time. Once there are more such people, the world will be finished. Hearing this, Caitlin's body shook, and she asked with a trembling voice, you mean, travel through time? Can you go back in time? Apparently, she thought of her dead fiancé. If you can travel through time, can you save him? As long as you run fast enough, but don't mind doing it, people who play with time will also be played with time. You save him, the timeline will tell you what revenge from time is, and you will only lose more. The next death may not be him, but yourself, or your relatives, your most cherished friends, or simply more people killed or wounded. At least one of these things is bound to happen. Is that really the case? Caitlin wasn't quite convinced. Yi Bai knew that Ronnie Raymond was not dead at all, and in order to dispel the other party's unrealistic illusions, Yi Bai stretched out his hand and said to her, here, grab my hand. Episode 57. Caitlin put her hand on Yi Bai's hand, and this time, she was not taken into the four-dimensional space, but into the infinite possibilities of the five-dimensional space. Here, Yi Bai let her look at the future in different possibilities. Among them, Caitlin worked hard to practice Godspeed power, getting faster and faster, and finally ran back in time to save Ronnie Raymond, only to cause an even greater disaster and destroy the entire central city. In the second possibility, he rescued Ronnie Raymond, took his place for what he was going to do, and died in the explosion of the example accelerator. The third possibility is that she prevented the particle accelerator from starting, and as a result, a large number of speedsters in yellow uniforms ran out of nowhere, killing her, rebooting the past history, and the example accelerator still started. This group of yellow uniformed speedsters is Urbid Swan, an inverse lightning bolt from a different timeline in the future. After that, there is a fourth possibility, a fifth possibility. The possibilities are endless, but there is none of the really good endings. This is the price of playing with the timeline. Yi Bai's ability can clearly let him know this, so he rarely travels through time. Even those who were resurrected last time used dolls to stay in place as corpses, and those rescued by the resurrection were sent to other universes to minimize the cost. Catherine's consciousness gradually returned to her body from the five-dimensional space, and she was in a trance for a moment, revealing a bitter expression. Changing the past, the price is really so great. Yes, time is corrective. If you describe it as a straight line that has been collapsed, once it changes, the whole line will oscillate. When the time came to noon, Yi Bai invited her, let's go out for lunch together. Because of the magical experience before, Caitlin had a high favorability for Yi Bai, was invited, and nodded and agreed without hesitation. The two left the interstellar lab together and went to a nearby restaurant for lunch. During lunch, being able to see a timeline of different possibilities is a phenomenon unique to five-dimensional space, right? Yes. You mentioned parallel worlds before. What is it like over there? Out of her loss, Caitlin's curiosity and desire to explore as a scientist came up and asked about what she was interested in. It's about the same as on our side. If you go past and you can still see your own isotope doppelganger, her experience may be different from yours. Good you, bad you, very bad you, super bad you. Hey! Is there only one good one? How you say it is bad? Caitlin complained. Because in most parallel worlds, you are a big villain. Yi Bai said with a smile. Really fake? It turns out that my subconscious has criminal tendencies? Caitlin still didn't believe it. The two ended their meal on the topic of parallel worlds, then drove to the outskirts of the city, connected to the Godspeed Force and ran here for a while. Caitlin first came into contact with the Godspeed Force, and the speed was similar to Yi Bai at first. Yi Bai is now faster, capable of 72 times the speed of sound on Earth. The circumference of the Earth's equator is 40,000 kilometers, and it can run 88,000 kilometers per hour at 72 times the speed of sound, which means that he can circle the Earth in half an hour. The red color of his divine speed lightning has gradually changed to yellow, and Yi Bai estimates that when he is 100 times the speed of sound, he can completely turn the lightning into yellow. When it comes to yellow, if you want to increase the lightning color level, you have to reach the speed of light, and it will turn blue. The first time you run at high speed, it may be a problem with the motor cells, and Caitlin will always accidentally fall flat. This made Yi-Bai think of the strange set of starting and stopping movements designed by the Flash Barry Allen, which seemed to be to cover up the embarrassment of accidentally falling flat. As long as he fell, he could take the trend and pretend that he was slowing down and stopping with that action. In the afternoon, Caitlin took a leave of absence from going to the interstellar laboratory, and she and Yi-Bai practiced superpower in the suburbs for an entire afternoon. Because it's a really great feeling, Caitlin felt that she might have another hobby of running around in the future. For the next half-month, Yi-Bai basically stayed in the interstellar laboratory in Central City, and in order to justify his name, he simply worked part-time as an electronic engineering expert in this laboratory, and had nothing to do to repair the supercomputer damaged by the explosion of the particle accelerator. Although Yi-Bai does not think that with the current situation of the interstellar lab, there will be electricity bills to support this big power consumer, but it is not bad to repair this thing and practice hands and get a salary by the way. Half a month later, Jessica returned from her mission, and Yi-Bai left Midtown and returned to California Beach City. Jessica's next mission will be 3 days later, and Yi-Bai is ready to accompany her for 3 days. In these 3 days, the two left Seaside City to travel around. Until Jessica had a mission to leave Earth again, Yi-Bai returned to Midtown. Such days continued until the 9th month of Barry Allen's coma. On this day, Yi-Bai chatted with Caitlin and Cisco Ramon in Caitlin's laboratory. "Caitlin, you've been smiling more and more lately. Are you two in love?" Cisco looked at Caitlin and Yi-Bai with a gossipy look. As Caitlin's friend, he was happy that the other party came out of the shadows before. "Are you so idle? The supercomputer has been repaired, and for the sake of our financial problems here, I think you should persuade Dr. Wells to sell it to improve the economics of the laboratory." Caitlin said angrily, "We don't have mysterious investors, and the current laboratory is not short of money. Cisco doesn't want to sell the supercomputer, it's the most valuable thing in the lab, and if it does, there's really nothing here." As for the mystery investors, it is naturally Yi-Bai and Caitlin, who have recently taken Caitlin in different capacities to speculate in stocks and buy lottery tickets, and have made billions of dollars casually, and the two of them invested in this laboratory on the verge of bankruptcy as mysterious investors. It can be said that now that the shares of the laboratory account for the majority, Dr. Harrison Wells has become a working boy. That's right, the current interstellar laboratory is the territory of the two. Even Caitlin had a lot of inspiration, developed some new drugs, and made some health products under Yi-Bai's suggestion, relying on these patented laboratories to return to a profitable state instead of a loss-making state. Cisco Ramon also went on to come up with a lot of good things, such as a mobile phone CPU, and partnered with a mobile phone production company. Therefore, don't look at the 2 or 3 big cats and kittens in the interstellar laboratory, but because of these patents, people here are not short of money, but earn more. Episode 58. While a few people were chatting, on the hospital bed not far away, Barry Allen woke up, and he sat up in confusion. His action of getting up attracted the attention of several people chatting. From Yi-Bai and others, he learned that he had been in a coma for 9 months, and Barry Allen was messy in the wind. Harrison Wells learned that Barry had woken up and arrived in a wheelchair to personally brief the old enemy he had cultivated for himself. In the end, Barry Allen left the lab and was in a coma for 9 months, and now he can't wait to meet his childhood sweetheart, Iris West. Speaking of which, Barry Allen died at the age of 11, and his father was suspected of being the murderer in prison, and since then, it was Iris West's father who adopted him, so he has a very good relationship with Iris. However, he likes Iris, but Iris is not, and his relationship is closer to brother and sister. Iris's father, Joe West, hopes that his daughter-in-law and his adopted son Barry Allen will get together, probably with the intention of not flowing into the fields of outsiders. After watching Barry go, Caitlin and Yi-Bai went out for lunch together. How soon do you think it will take him to realize his abilities? Caitlin is very interested in Barry Allen and learns something about the future from Yi-Bai, letting her know that Barry Allen will become the superhero The Flash. It won't be long. Sure enough, that afternoon, Barry Allen returned to the interstellar laboratory and told several people what happened to him. The corners of the doctor's mouth turned up slightly after hearing this. The Flash was finally born, and he could also recover his divine speed. Cisco hears that Barry has superpowers and appears even more excited than Barry. Immediately, everyone got a bunch of equipment and drove an RV from the lab to an abandoned airport runway in the suburbs to test Barry's capabilities. "Cisco, are you serious? It's too tight." Barry stepped out of the RV, pointed to his athlete-like red uniform, and said speechlessly, "Man, believe me, if you can really run that fast, you definitely need a clothes that is convenient for movement." Cisco said, "I think he needs a set of fireproof clothing more, and the friction between the body and the air will cause the body to catch fire." Caitlin gave her opinion. "This is all a lesson in blood. I think that when Caitlin and Yi-Bai were running in the field together, their bodies caught fire and burned their clothes directly, and she was embarrassed for a long time when Yi-Bai saw the light. I don't think he's fast enough to make his clothes catch fire." Cisco said, "Dr. Harrison Wells Caitlin knows the speedsters well? Can you actually think of the problem of clothes catching fire? Shouldn't you wonder if Barry Allen is really powerful?" That's what normal people should suspect, rather than thinking directly about the possible ability to do. Caitlin has also obtained supernatural power, but Harrison does not know the point, mainly because Caitlin does not like to be in the limelight, and her ability is only known by Yi-Bai, the perpetrator, until now. Soon, Barry Allen was gone, and testing began. Barry ran, swooped into the distance, and such a fast speed stunned Cisco Ramon. Harrison Wells was paying attention to Caitlin's expression, and found that the other party's face showed not the shock of seeing the speedster, but a look that was indeed so. Did she already know that Barry Allen would have this ability? He looked at Caitlin's boyfriend Yi-Bai again. Yi-Bai was very good at acting, and he showed a shocked expression at seeing superpowers at the right time. Yi-Bai's reaction seemed much more normal to Dr. Wells. He felt the need to pay more attention to Caitlin so that his plans to go home would not be accidental. Barry, who was running, lightning suddenly appeared around him, and he noticed this. He thought about the late night when he was 11 years old. 2 rapid lightning bolts suddenly appeared in the house, one red and one yellow. Could the person who killed his mother have similar abilities as himself? As soon as he lost his mind, he didn't notice the obstacle in front of him, and directly hit it, causing the fracture of his hand bones and foot bones. Everyone took him back to the interstellar laboratory for treatment. Barry's injury healed very quickly. They all said that the injury was 100 days. Barry was completely healed in only 1 hour after being taken by Caitlin. Your cells are very active. Not only are you running fast, but your body's recovery speed is obviously at that level. Caitlin pointed to the X of Barry's hand bone and introduced him. Barry, you seem to have lost your mind before. What's going on? Harrison asked him. Barry told everyone about what happened when he was 11 years old. After saying that, he asked, do you think those 2 lightning bolts will be the same people as me? Caitlin is very experienced in this area, and said before Harrison Wells spoke, speed to the extreme, people can travel through time. Maybe one of those 2 lightning bolts is to return to the past you, and the other may be your mother killer. Caitlin said this, and the audience was stunned. Cisco complained, Caitlin, I don't remember that you are a science and engineering student. How did you come up with such a cutting-edge theory? Barry Allen spiraled 365 degrees. Are you saying that it is possible for me to go back in time? Harrison Wells looked gloomy, and Caitlin really knew something. Yi-Bai patted Barry's shoulder and said, as long as the speed is fast enough, time can't catch up with you. Don't say go back to the past and run into the future. Even if you cross a parallel world, it's possible. So try to make yourself run faster, young man. No, I mean one of those 2 lightning bolts I encountered when I was 11. Could it really be me? Barry still thinks this kind of thing is ridiculous, and at the same time hopes that it is true. It's very simple to verify this. Generally speaking, fights will hurt, injuries will bleed. Maybe your former home will leave the blood of those 2 lightning men. If you can really find it, you can get a conclusion by testing. Yi-Bai began to spoil again. When this guy Cisco heard that he could still verify like this, he immediately clapped and said, so what are you waiting for? Barry, where is your home? After my father went to jail, it was rented out. Next, the group teamed up and went to Barry Allen's childhood home. Dr. Harrison Wells wondered if he had been injured at the time. It doesn't seem to be. He was relieved that now was not the time to expose the identity of the reverse lightning. Episode 59. Barry Allen's former home. The current occupant here is a middle-aged woman who still has charm, and when she saw that it was the former owner who came here to look for something, she beckoned a few people to come in. The middle-aged woman was a widow, unmoistened for a long time, a little like a wolf, and she stared at Dr. Harrison Wells, a handsome middle-aged man in a wheelchair, constantly hinting at what could happen. This left Harrison Wells covered in black lines. Yi-Bai, Barry, Cisco, and Caitlin began to look for traces here. Finally, on the back of a piece of wallpaper, bloodstains were found. You guessed it, there are really bloodstains left. Cisco is excited, about to test whether the ultimate speed can really cross time and space. As a mad scientist, he is really excited. Compared with this, Yi-Bai, Caitlin, Harrison, who have long known, are much calmer. Barry Allen was both nervous and excited. If it is verified that this blood is really the future of him, it means that he can really travel through time and space, and it also means that he can go back in time to save his mother. Even if this blood is not his own, it may be the murderer's. At least it can identify who the murderer is and clear his father's wrongs. After collecting the sample, everyone rushed back to the interstellar laboratory, and Caitlin began to test the blood. After half an hour of testing, Caitlin looked at the nervous crowd and announced the result. It is indeed Barry's blood, and it is an adult, not a child. Barry, one of the 2 lightning bolts you saw at the age of 11, may really be the future you. Caitlin pointed to the test results and said to everyone, it's so cool buddy, wait for me and you to make you a speedster special treadmill to test your speed, so that you can see your progress more obviously. According to Hawking's time pointer reversal theory, if you want to go back in time, you have to be fast enough. Cisco patted Barry's shoulder. Good. Barry excited. Yi-Bai and Cisco, 2 experts in mechanical engineering, began to develop the superpower treadmill, and Barry left the place excitedly, running circles around the city to announce his excitement. In view of Caitlin and Yi-Bai's abnormal performance, Harrison Wells was very upset. He went to his secret room in the lab and used artificial intelligence Gideon to check whether the future changed. Caitlin stood beside Yi-Bai and said hesitantly, "You told me that changing the past will not lead to good results, why not stop Barry?" Yi-Bai said, "He won't listen to advice." I said, "What you two were talking about, how did I not understand well?" Cisco was full of question marks. Caitlin ignored him and instead said, "I'm worried he's changing history. From a macro perspective, from the moment Barry Allen came out, at some point in the future, it is destined to change the past. Yi-Bai has his own opinion on this matter. Allen is a key figure in the DC timeline. Without him, the future will not be history rebooted into the 52 period. The new 52 period has a little interesting story and interesting people. Yi-Bai does not want to kill this possibility." I said, "What are you two hiding from me?" Through the communication between the two, Cisco gradually realized that the two of them may have secrets that they did not know. Listening to their chat, can he assume that these two people also have superpowers? And already traveled through time and space? Otherwise, how could it be possible to talk about such a topic in such a certain tone? Yi-Bai looked at Cisco, sighed, shook his head, and continued to busy with the matter at hand. He was like seeing a terminally ill patient and not knowing how to tell him he was terminally ill. "Well, that's right, he's just spoofing." Cisco was furrowed by Yi-Bai's expression, and he looked at Caitlin with a pleading gaze. I don't know if Caitlin wanted to joke. She studied Yi-Bai, looked at Cisco regretfully, shook her head and left. "Cisco, who am I? Where am I? Am I dying? Can anyone tell me?" Another thing happened today. Clark Kent, working in the Antarctic expedition not long ago, accidentally discovered a spaceship called the Lonely Fortress, and through the data chip on his body, he discovered his identity. His father wants him to become a superhero of the Earth and thus be recognized by the Earthlings. Yesterday, Clark Kent met Wonder Woman and told him about being a superhero, which inspired Superman brother. So today, Clark Kent put on a blue tights and a big red cape, officially debuted as Superman and became a superhero. In view of today's piece, when he was a superhero, he only prevented some ordinary criminals from committing crimes, and by the way, saved people in car accidents and fires. This guy with superpowers who can fly away was on the news page of Planet Daily on the same day, and other news media more or less reported on this superhero who can fly away. Yi-Bai, who was assembling a super-speed treadmill with Cisco Ramon, saw the Superman-related news reported by the LCD TV hanging on the wall, and knew that Diana had contacted Da Chao. Cisco saw this news and sighed. In the past, superpowers were just legends, but now not only one has appeared around us, but even the metropolis has it. You'll only see more in the future. Yi-Bai shrugged. Do you know something? Before, too, and Caitlin was so mysterious. That's the secret of the two of us. Yi-Bai hung his appetite and just didn't tell him. This drove Cisco a little crazy, and he felt isolated. He looked at Yi-Bai with a resentful expression, and gave Yi-Bai goosebumps. I warn you, I don't do it. Cisco, after spending a whole day, the Godspeed treadmill version 1.0 was born fresh at 4 p.m. that day. Cisco called Barry Allen. Knowing that the treadmill was built, Barry, in order to test his speed, ran to the interstellar laboratory for the first time, got on the Godspeed treadmill, and ran. Episode 60. After testing, Barry Allen's current fastest speed is comparable to the speed of sound. It can be said that even Caitlin, who obtained supernatural power through the speed equation, is not comparable. Although the speed is very slow, Yi-Bai believes that Barry Allen's potential is absolutely high. After all, this is the son of Godspeed. Stepping off the treadmill, Barry said disappointedly, I have to run at least the speed of light to go back in time, it's too far behind. Yi-Bai had a different opinion. I have studied your speed before, and when you enter the super speed state, the lightning on your body is like a space-time effect formed by different time differences. In other words, you are already in a different time stream when you run, and after my calculations, you don't need to run the speed of light to achieve the purpose of traveling through time and space. How fast do I need to? Barry hurriedly asked. According to the calculation results, when you can walk twice the speed of sound at the speed of ordinary people walking in that state, then once you run, the time and space squeezed forward will form a quantum-shattering effect, forming a wormhole-like thing, which may be four-dimensional space, or it may be somewhere else. Let's call it the Godspeed Force space, where you should be able to see the past, present and future, and travel into it. Yi-Bai said his understanding of the divine speed force in this way. I said, buddy, how did you figure it out? Cisco Ramon looked confused. Yeber pulled a blackboard and wrote a formula on it, not a rapid equation, but with an element of reference. He explained as he wrote, quickly put the results of the calculations into reality, and finally came to the conclusion he said earlier. Reasonable, looks very reliable, and the people present are all mad scientists. Even if Barry Allen is also a scientist in the forensics department, he can naturally understand Yi-Bai's explanation. That excites Barry, twice the speed of sound, which doesn't seem hard to achieve. On the side, Harrison Wells' expression was inexplicable. He had recovered some of his divine speed, and he planned to test Yi-Bai and Caitlin today. These two guys seemed too evil to him. and he couldn't sleep at night without understanding their details. After work in the afternoon, Yi-bai and Caitlin left together and drove in the direction of home. When Jessica is not on Earth, Yeb generally lives with Caitlin. On the way back, a red lightning bolt suddenly came from behind, breaking the tires of Caitlin's car in an instant. Because it was in the suburbs, the car was moving fast, and once the tires were broken, the car lost its balance and overturned at high speed. Yi-bai reacted immediately, instantly released the stance, wrapped himself in Caitlin, dragged his body through the window with the stance and flew out of the car, landing firmly on the ground. He looked not far away at the man in a yellow uniform with scarlet glowing eyes, and his body vibrated at high frequencies and could not see his face clearly. Caitlin also sees each other, and she once showed him a series of outcomes that she tried to change in the past, and there was a possibility that she stopped the particle accelerator from enlightening. A large group of guys who were exactly like the person in front of him jumped out. "You are Reverse Lightning," Caitlin subconsciously said. "You really know I exist." Reverse Lightning's tone was gloomy. Since this was the case, in order for his plan not to change, he decided to kill the two here. It turned into a flash of red lightning and rushed towards Yetling. Seeing this, the two shouted out the rapid equation at the same time: 3x, 9yz, 4a. They connected the Godspeed force. In this state, the speed of the Reverse Lightning is like a snail. Yes, the Godspeed power of Reverse Lightning comes from the Flash, and he can run as fast as the Flash can run. Today's Flash is still just a rookie, with a maximum speed of only Mach 1, and Yi-bai and Caitlin are much faster than him. Looking at the Reverse Lightning that was as slow as a snail, the two still had time to chat. "Yi, what is the true identity of Reverse Lightning?" Caitlin asked. "He is Barry's mother killer. Originally I planned to wait for Barry to become stronger and let him discover the truth himself, but I didn't expect that the Reverse Lightning would attack us," Yi-bai said. The whole person turned into a faster lightning, instantly deceived the side of the counter lightning, and struck his neck with a powerful hand knife, knocking him unconscious and removing his yellow hood. When Caitlin saw the face under the other party's hood, she was stunned. "Dr. Wells?" He turned out to be Dr. Wells. How can it? He was not Dr. Wells. The real Wells had died on the same day as his wife. After the death of the doctor's wife, the doctor's personality changed a lot, but he used his wife's death to disguise the reason for his temperament change. In fact, Wells was no longer Wells at that time. Yi-bai said what he knew. Why did he do this? Why did he kill Barry's mother? Because he is a future man. In the future he will gain supernatural power by studying the Flash's abilities. He is an enemy with the Flash, and one day, he discovers the Flash's true identity, so he wants to go back in time and kill Barry as a child to make the Flash disappear. He travels back in time with the future Flash chase, history is altered, and the Flash will not be born. Without the Flash, he would not have studied the Godspeed force, which means that while the past changed, he also lost the Godspeed power. Trapped in this era, in order to go back, he can only restore history to let the Flash be born, and the particle accelerator explosion is not an accident, it is a conspiracy carefully arranged by him. Yi-bai broke the news. Caitlin covered her mouth in disbelief. It turned out to be so to speak, the other party was also the culprit of her ex-fiancé's death. This made Caitlin's mentality a little broken. About how to deal with the Reverse Lightning, it's up to you. Yi-bai Dao. Caitlin stared angrily and tangled at the unconscious culprit on the ground, but kindness like she could not really go down even if she faced the enemy, and it was almost the same as the Frost Killer personality. She shook her head and said, "Call Barry over, his father needs this murderer to clear his wrongs." Yi-bai nodded, took out his mobile phone and dialed Barry's number. A few minutes passed, and a bolt of lightning came from afar, and Barry Allen arrived. "What's the matter with calling me? This is Professor Wells on the ground?" He wondered. "He is your mother killer, Reverse Lightning Ilbode Swan." Yi-bai began to tell him the situation, telling Barry Allen the cause and effect of the incident.